Thank you for tuning in to your one and only Track and Field Bleacher Report. I'm your official host, the Trackhead here, coming to you with a recap of this weekend's action that happened in the NCAA Division I track and field scene. For those of you who are tuning in to my channel for the very first time, I want to say thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day and to watch this video. So I hope that there'll be some content that you find informative or that you find entertaining that will allow you to like or subscribe or to comment to this channel. For those of you who are returning to my channel, I just want to say I appreciate for those of you who have watched my videos. There have been some loyal subscribers that have actually watched all of my videos and have watched majority of the content on my channel. So I really do appreciate that. Again, so if you're hopefully you'll find something in this video that you can like, comment, or subscribe on. So this video is we're going to recap what has happened this past weekend, which is actually week 7 of the NCAA Division I indoor track and field scene. So again, most of the schools are just coming back. They're coming back. Most of the schools are having their rust buster and opening up for the very first time this past weekend. There are some schools that this is their second or third weekend that they've competed, but for many schools, this was their very first time getting back on the track. So it's very early on in the season. A lot of the times it's still just, icebreakers. So they're not amazing, spectacular, nationals winning times. But again, this very early in the season, and that's what's to be expected. That's what we're going to go through this journey of recapping and reviewing week after week to see how these times and these marks progress as the season goes on. A lot of schools, like I said, opened up for the very first time. There are some schools that still haven't even opened up yet. So by next weekend or the weekend after, majority of the people will have definitely have opened up or posted up a mark to try to qualify them for nationals in the next couple coming weeks. So this weekend, we had some good performances that were put out on the boards so far. In the men's 60, you know what? I want to apologize for this athlete because I did not include him in my season's preview for the men's 60, 100, and 200 meter dash. And this athlete is very capable, very worthy, and he should have been mentioned in my preview for this season, but I overlooked him. Elijah Hall from the University of Houston. This past weekend, he ran a PR in the 60. He ran 6:60. And he won the Leonard Hilton Invitational. But Elijah has PRs outdoor last year of 10:11 and 20:21. And he ran that 20:21 at USATF Nationals outdoor and got third in the 200. So I definitely should have mentioned him in my season's preview for the men's 60, 100, and 200 meters. So Elijah Hall, he's not even a dark horse. He's one that we're definitely going to have to watch out. And he's already, like I said, he's run 6:60. He had the best mark so far this past weekend, running 6:60 in the men's 60 meter dash. So I'm going to keep an eye out for Elijah Hall, and I want to say I apologize to Elijah Hall because I didn't include him again in my season's preview. But he is more than worthy and more than capable, and he should have been amongst the top names that I mentioned. So that adds to the University of Houston's sprint style that they have going on down there. Once Cameron Burrell returns outdoor, and that 4x1, Elijah Hall, Cameron Burrell, and a few other sprinters they have down there at Houston, man, they're going to be quite nasty. Also this past weekend from the University of Auburn, Raheem Chambers opened up. He ran 6:62 in the men's 60, so Raheem Chambers opened up pretty well in the men's 60. Kenzo Cotton from Arkansas, I mentioned him in my season's preview videos for the men's 60, 100, and 200 meter dash. Mr. Consistency, I called him. Mr. Consistency himself is showing that he's back where he started off last year in the men's 60, running the 6:63 at home at the Arkansas Invitational. So Kenzo Cotton from Arkansas, again, he's right there, always being consistent. Right, not too far off of his PR, but he ran 6:63, which is a quality mark so far in the men's 60. From Arkansas State, Jalen Bacon, I mentioned him as well in my season's preview. He ran 6:65 this past weekend at the Kentucky Invitational. So Jalen Bacon is showing that he's ready to rock and roll this coming season as well. Divine Udayuru from Texas Tech, he ran 6:69 at home. That's a PR for Divine. So we'll keep an eye out for him. That's somebody that I didn't mention. That's somebody that wasn't on my radar. So now he's getting mentioned, and now he's on the radar. So we're going to look and see how Divine season progresses from here. So 6:66 is a pretty good time. He was at home, so this might have been a breakout performance for him. So we'll keep an eye out for Divine. Hakeem Montgomery from Troy, he ran 668 this past weekend at the University of Alabama Blazer Invitational in Alabama. Also at the UAB meet, McKinley West from Southern Mississippi ran 668 as well. So the men's 60, again, usually it takes around like 660s, in the mid 660s to qualify for nationals. So a lot of these runners that put up time so far, they probably will qualify for nationals, but this is their very first or second meet for most of them that's run these times, so they'll improve on these times as the season goes on. But to start off running 668 and 665 and 663 and 662, those runners will probably be in the 650s by the time nationals roll around. And again, Elijah Hall ran 660 this past weekend, so I mean that's a very fast time for your your season opener. He'll definitely be down into the 650s as the season progresses, and he might be one to watch out, for nationals, within that top 3 or 4. So we'll see how that goes. But again, the men's 60, that was, it's been some good marks so far. It was some good competition already, and it's been some names that's jumping out there that wasn't in the purview. So we'll see how the men's 60 goes. The men's 200, still hasn't had a lot of quality marks so far. When I say quality, I mean like marks that that definitely will qualify you for nationals. Only 3 people in the NCAA scene for Division I have broken 21 seconds, and you have to run under 21 seconds in order to qualify for nationals in any given year. I mean, you're not going to run 21 flat and make it to nationals. Even in a slow year, you're not going to do that. So for only 3 people to have already run under 21 seconds, it means that most of the top runners have not ran, or they're not focused on the 200. They're not ready to run their first opening 200 yet. So the 200 specialists or the men's 100 and 200 meter dash runners haven't really started their season yet. So I'm not too worried about that. But for the ones who have run so far, Obi Abakwi from Arkansas, I talked about him in my season's preview. He ran 2078 at home at the Arkansas Invitational. Also, Javon Flournoy from LSU, he ran 2095 at the Texas Tech meet this past weekend. So again, the 200, it's not too many names to talk about. It's not too many things to talk about. It's not a lot that's been going on in the men's 200 so far. So again, we'll see what happens as the season progresses. I'm not too concerned just yet. I don't know who's going to be coming out the blocks ready to rumble. I don't know who's going, who's looking like they're going to be the formidable champion at nationals yet, because I don't think he's run yet. Whoever that's going to be, I feel like he hasn't run yet. So we'll see what happens as the season progresses. We're going to continue watching. We're going to continue, checking that out as the season goes on. The men's 400, we had quite a few men's 400 results put down this past weekend. Again, it's still very early in the season, and the 400 is an event that usually, your first 400, you usually shave off, within a half a second to a second by the time that your NCs or the time that your conference championship comes around, because the 400 is something that you just have to break in. So, you just have to get used to the 400, and you're not in peak condition in your first 400 of the season. So these times that's being run, I expect these times to be much faster by the time the conference meets and then nationals roll around in a couple, and in a couple of months. So, but Akeem Bloomfield from the University of Auburn, he ran 45.92 at the Commodore Invite. So Akeem Bloomfield, I mentioned him in my men's preview video for the season, and so he's showing that he deserved to be mentioned, and he's going to be one to watch out for this year in the men's 400. Ilolo Azu from Texas A&M, he ran 46.34 at home at the Texas A&M meet that they had this past weekend. He's one that I didn't talk about, that wasn't on my radar, because he had PRs of like 47 or 48 prior to the season, so I didn't really feel that was something that I would mention as a dark horse or somebody that's coming up the pipe. But he's showing that he's in good shape. He's showing that he should have been mentioned, and he shows that he's going to be one to check out this upcoming season. Texas A&M, they lost Fred Curley. They still have Malik Curley. So they're looking for somebody to step up and be a replacement for some of the 400-meter runners that they've lost over the last few years, and also being able to contribute for the 4x4, because Texas A&M usually always have a really strong 4x4. So I'm looking for Ilolo Izu from Texas A&M to probably be a factor, a contributor for their 4x4, and potentially an NCAA qualifier indoors. I'm already running 46.3. Again, that's not 46.3 may or may not get you into nationals. It may, in a slow year, it could get you into nationals, but for him to have ran 46.3 in his very first 400 of the season in January means that he's more than capable of probably running 45 by the time SECs or nationals come around. So I think that he may be one that can qualify for nationals later on in the season. Tyreek Mathis from Texas Tech, he ran an indoor PR of 46.57 at the Texas Tech Invitational at home. So Tyreek Mathis is another one that wasn't mentioned, but somebody that obviously is ready to rock and roll, and for him to run 46 mid at this point in the season means that he can get down close to 46 low, 45 high by the time conference and nationals roll around. Dwight St. Hilaire, the Kentucky freshman that I did talk about and I did mention in my season preview videos, he ran 46.55. This is a PR for him indoors. He ran 46.55 at home in Kentucky. So Dwight St. Hilaire from the Kentucky at freshman, he made his 400-meter debut this past weekend, and he looked pretty good. So we'll continue to watch out for Dwight St. Hilaire and see how his season progresses, and see if once SECs, because it's going to be hot at SEC, so we're going to see what he does amongst the Texas A&Ms and the Floridas, and see if he can really be a top contender. But he's just a freshman, so even if he's not the top contender, I mean, for him to be running this fast as a freshman means that he has room to grow, and we could talk about him in years to come. So I'm not going to put that much on him right now. Stephen Champlin from Texas Tech, he ran 46.57, which is an indoor PR for him at home. So Stephen Champlin from Texas Tech, we'll keep an eye out for him. It seems like Texas Tech has something going on down there. I didn't mention Texas Tech much in any of my season preview videos that I did, but I've already mentioned them a few times so far for this past weekend. They had a meet at home, and a lot of their athletes showed that they're ready to rock and roll, and a lot of their athletes show that they can perform at decent levels, at a good level. So Texas Tech, we're gonna have to watch out for them. From the University of Auburn, Randall Census, he ran 46.60. So Randall Census, he had a good performance this past weekend. I do remember he was on that 4x4, and he was the one to watch out for this upcoming season. So we'll keep an eye out for him as the season goes on. From the University of Clemson, Jeffrey Green, he ran 46.76 at the Texas A&M meet this past weekend. So the University of Clemson has, an athlete that's running 46.7 already. So we'll see what goes on as the season goes. Maybe he'll, be a potential winner at the ACC conference meet at ACC. So we'll talk about that when it comes around. But we'll watch out for Jeffrey Green. From the University of Baylor, Howard, quote unquote, Trey Fields. He's a freshman at Baylor. He ran 46.95. I didn't talk about him as an impact freshman, but he should be an impact freshman. He ran 46.45 in high school, so I didn't mention him as an impact freshman, but Baylor has an impact freshman in Howard Trey Fields. So he looks like, again, to run 46.95 is off of his outdoor PR of 46.45 that he ran in high school. So Trey Fields or Howard Fields, he definitely will be one to watch out for. I know he ran on that Baylor's 4x4 this past weekend, and he looked very good. So Baylor was like 400 University for the longest time. So I think that with him and Will London, that's a good training group to be in, and he'll be ready to rock and roll by the time the later part of the season comes along. Trevor Stewart from North Carolina A&T, he's a freshman that also ran 46.99 at the Alabama meet and at the UAB meet in Alabama. So Trevor Stewart, 46.99 as a freshman. We'll see how that goes as the season goes along. So to break 47 seconds in your first meet, that says that you are in you're in good condition, you're in good shape, and that you can rock and roll as the season progresses. So the men's 400, again, a lot of the other 400 runners, a lot of the top 400 runners still haven't opened up. I mean, Akeem Bloomfield is one of the top 400 runners. He opened up this past weekend, but his teammate didn't open up yet. And also a lot of the Florida guys didn't open up yet. So, Michael Norman from USC didn't open up yet. So these times will start getting faster and faster as the weeks go on. But I love the 400 indoors because it's a lot more strategy involved than outdoors, because you have the break. You have to cut in. It's a break in the men's 400 indoors. So, I mean, in the 400 indoors period, not only the men's, but the women's too. But in the 400 period, you have to break. You have to break. And so, just being able to have that speed and just judging and being able to cleanly break and not get fumbled up, not get tangled up, not going out too hard, but just going out enough so that you can break and still be able to finish that last 100 meters is very important. So I like to watch the men's I like to watch the men's and the women's 400 indoors, because it's a lot of strategy, and a lot of times a lot of the speed 400 runners usually have a little bit of an advantage because they can get to the break first and then dictate the pace as they go around the turn going into the second lap. And so that can give them a little bit of time to recover before they try to kick again at 150 or 100 meters to go. So the men's and women's 400, it'll be one to watch this incoming season. So the men's 800 really hasn't, just like the men's 200, hasn't had a lot going on so far this season. But one of the top returners that I did talk about, one of the top in my preview video, one of the people that I did mention that we're going to be watching out for already showed that, we're not going to have to watch out for him anymore. He is here. He is ready to run. Michael Surani from UTEP. He ran 1:45.92 this past weekend at the Commodore Invitational. So 1:45 already in the second week of January is flying. So Michael Surani, he was kind of in the shadows of Emmanuel Career last year, but Michael Surani ran pretty fast. That's the indoor PR for him that he ran this past weekend at 1:45. But he was a freshman last year, and he kind of just got, he kind of just didn't have the experience. I'll just say he didn't have the experience. He was kind of all over the place when he got to nationals and just didn't really perform to his abilities. Just really wasn't strategizing well. Really wasn't. He was getting tripped up and boxed in, and just really wasn't confident. I think it was the confidence. He didn't have the experience and the confidence to run at that level with that much pressure on him at the big stage. So, but now that he is the leading man at UTEP, I think that he can come through, he can build his confidence up, and he can drop his times, and also he can run with more authority in the 800. So he ran 1:45 already, and that was by himself. So hopefully, if he comes up against some competition in the next few weeks, or once he gets to his conference, or once he gets to nationals, then we'll see what he's capable of. But Michael Surani from UTEP, I knew that he would be one to watch out for, but it's going to show that he's in good condition, good shape already. He's healthy. He's ready to rock and roll. The men's miles, another event that hasn't had a lot of qualifying marks that you would run to qualify for nationals. But this past weekend, I mean, nobody has broken 4 minutes, so usually it takes you have to break 4 minutes in order to qualify for nationals. But this past weekend, Colin Abert from Penn State, he ran 4:02.50. He was at home at the Penn State Invitational meet. Also, Kyle Mayu from Indiana, he ran 4:02.77 at the Kentucky meet. So again, nobody has broken 4 minutes, but most of the milers haven't run. So I'm not worried about that. I mean, most of the top milers haven't even opened up. Most of the top milers ran in cross country, and they took some time off and took a break, allow themselves to rest and recover, and so they haven't really opened up yet. Probably by the end of January, the beginning of February, that's when most of the top milers will be trying to put it down a mark that will qualify them for nationals. But so far, again, the top time I think we have is like 4:01 or 4:02 so far in the men's mile. But by the end of the month, by the beginning of February, somebody will break 4 minutes. I ain't worried about that. In the men's 3K, again, the same problem. It's not even a problem. In the men's 3K, the same situation is going on where most of the top distance runners or mid distance runners are on break and they haven't came back to open up in their indoor campaign. But Chamadi Keegan from Middle Tennessee State, he ran 7:58 this past weekend. So it looks like that was actually a PR for him. So it looks like we'll have to watch out for Chamadi. He's maybe trying to show that you know what, I can be a contender at nationals. I can be a contender indoors in this 3K. So again, he'll have to lower his time from 7:58, but for him to have run 7:58 right now shows that he can that he can run fast, and that he's potentially can be one that we have to watch out for as the season progresses. The men's 60-meter hurdles, Angelo Goss from Syracuse, he ran 7:69, which is a PR for him. So Angelo Goss is somebody that I didn't mention, is somebody that I didn't talk about in my season's preview videos. He wasn't on the radar, but that 7:69 this past weekend put him on the radar. I think he's a transfer at Syracuse. I think this is his first year at Syracuse. He just got there and he's a transfer that transferred into Syracuse. So, but we'll watch out for Angelo Goss to run 7:69. It's only two other people that's broken 7:70 so far this past season, Grant Holloway and Chad Zalo. So Angelo Goss is amongst that company now, and we'll see how the season progresses to see if what he's made of as the season continues. Ruben Walters from the University of Alabama ran 7:76 this past weekend. So Ruben Walters, we'll keep an eye out on you as well. That's a pretty good time for the beginning of the season. David Kinziva from Illinois, he ran 7:80 at home. Jalen McConico from Illinois State ran 7:84. And Chris Douglas from Iowa ran 7:84 as well. So we had a few people that had ran under 7:85 in the men's hurdles. So, to run under 7:85, 7:70, around those times, that's where most of the top hurdlers will be running at this time of the season. So, but as the season goes on, getting down to 7:60 and to run 7:50 for the collegiates, that's pretty fast. So, so everybody seems on target so far. Again, a lot of the top returners haven't opened up yet, and we have some people that will be coming down the pipe because the hurdles, especially on the men's side, usually it's a progressive type of event. Most of the time, as a freshman or a sophomore, you're adjusting to the height difference. You're just adjusting to the taller hurdles. So usually some of the freshmen, they don't have the best seasons or they don't have the best times as a freshman, but as they adjust and as they get stronger, they're able to clear the hurdles better and their technique becomes better, and so they run faster in their sophomores and juniors and senior year. So usually as you progress in your career for the hurdles, you get a little bit better on the men's side, especially in your collegiate years. So so that's that for the men's hurdles. The men's 4x4, it was a few teams that put down some good times this past weekend. We had a good race at Texas Tech between Houston, Texas Tech, and Baylor. That was in LSU. So the Texas Tech, they were leading going into the final leg of that race, and the Texas Tech anchor went out a little bit too hard. I think he was a little bit aggressive, a little bit anxious, a little bit too anxious, and took the first 200 out too hard. And Houston, Kamari Montgomery, the new transfer to Houston on the anchor leg, was able to reel him in that second leg. He was patient, and he just bid his time and allowed the Texas Tech runner to just break down and lose his form in the last 100 meters, and he was able to catch him as well as Baylor did too. So Houston ran 3:06.57, which is the top time in the nation so far right now. Baylor ran 3:08.23. Texas Tech ran 3:08.35, and LSU ran 3:08.37. So it was a good, some good 4x4s that was put down all at the Texas Tech meet this past weekend. And so those times will get faster as the season goes on. But Houston, the University of Houston, is showing that not only in the short sprints and the 4x1 outdoor, but this season in the 4x4, they're going to be ones to watch out for. For them to run 3:06 this past weekend shows that they can be right there in the mix, and so they might be some of the top amongst the top teams come conference meet and nationals, and that's a surprise because the University of Houston, I don't feel like has ever been a very strong contender in the 4x4. Usually we have your Floridas, your LSU's, your Texas A&M's, Baylor's, those type of schools, Arkansas's, but the University of Houston never really was in that tier of the 4x4s. But this year for them to run 306, and they look very good. On the anchor leg, it looks like they have some members there that can really be contribute to the 4x4. In the field events, we have a couple of field events I want to talk about, just particularly the men's high jump. We had a few individuals that put up some good high jump performances this past weekend. Trey Carver from Texas Tech, he was your indoor national champion last year. He jumped 2.33 meters, which is 7 feet 7 3/4 of an inch. He cleared the bar with 7 feet 7 3/4. Wow, that's pretty high. I can't even jump. I can't even jump probably like 3 feet. So that's pretty good for him. He's the national leader so far, and among so far this year, and so he looks like he's looking to defend his NCAA championship title from 2017. Vernon Turner from Oklahoma. He's a freshman who cleared 2 meters and 23, which is 7 feet 3 3/4 of an inch. So Vernon Turner, the freshman, which is good for a freshman. So those two individuals, they performed very good so far this past weekend in the high jump. So we'll track the high jump as it goes on. That's not a very popular event in the NCAA's, but as the season goes on, we'll just make sure we'll keep an eye out to see how Trey and Vernon they perform. Also, Bartle Landon from Nebraska, he jumped 7 feet 3 inches, so he cleared that. So we'll track the long jump. We'll track the high jump as the season goes on and see how that goes. Also in the field events, we had in the long jump Charles Brown from Texas Tech. He jumped 8.03 meters, which is 26 feet 4 1/4 inch. So Charles Brown from Texas Tech, he put up a very strong jump. I think that's the national leader in the collegiates, or if not the national leader, the second furthest jump. I think it's the first furthest jump so far this season. And so it looks like he's ready to rock and roll in his long jump. We'll have to see how him and Keandre Bates and Grant Holloway from Florida, how they match up. But Charles Brown from Texas Tech, I mentioned Texas Tech a lot in this past weekend. They had a home meet, and so they were at home. Maybe they were comfortable, maybe they were prepared, maybe they were anxious. They had been waiting for this home meet debut, and they definitely debuted at Texas Tech. So if these runners and these jumpers and these athletes from Texas Tech progress as the season goes on and keep it together, Texas Tech may be able to be amongst the top 4 or 5 teams, coming national. So that's surprising. I definitely did not mention. I definitely wasn't looking for Texas Tech like that. I wasn't checking for them like that. But the track and field Bleacher Reporter was off. Texas Tech, they have some athletes and some individuals that can really put it down, and they might be not a national winner. I don't think that they have enough to win nationals, but they have a lot of components. So we'll keep an eye out for them. They're looking like they can contend with some heavy hitters. So Texas Tech, I'm very impressed. I'll keep on watching. I'll keep on reporting. But that was your men's preview. I tried to go through all of the men's events, so I wanted to just run down the list of the men's and just recap the men's races and the men's performances that happened this past weekend. Again, as the season progresses in the next couple of weeks, we'll have some more events and some more action and some more results to talk about. But so far, it's looking good. Like I said, Texas Tech and the University of Houston look like they have some good things going on. But I'm sure your Texas A&M's and your Floridas and your LSU's and your Oregons will have something to say about that as the season progresses. And as the season progresses, we'll be right here reporting on it. So if you gotten this far in the video, more than likely you probably are subscribed. But if you haven't please hit that subscription button, and please, like or comment if it was a result, if it was a performance that happened this past weekend that I didn't mention on the men's side, then just shoot me some type of message or comment or something and let me know about it. Maybe I missed it, and I'll just, maybe I'll have to keep an eye out for that. But thank you for watching the video, and again, please like, comment, or subscribe to my channel, and we'll get into some more preview. We'll get into some more recaps as the season goes on.